Futures trading involves a substantial risk of loss and may not be suitable for all investors. Therefore, carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you in light of your financial condition.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, February 10th. I'm Phil Streible, Chief Market Strategist at Blue Line Futures. So I'll be on CNBC's Power Lunch here to discuss what to watch here in the precious metals and give an outlook for 2026. So let's set you up here for the day ahead. Looking at April gold, the lows overnight, $5,011. Above that psychological level, $5,000. The highs of the overnight session, $5,100.90. And the last trading sitting right around $50.75. The contract highs were achieved on January 29th, ahead of that big washout on January 30th, where we hit $5,628.80. The key level support is going to be that 5,000, that psychological level, and below that will be 49.37 and then 46.80. That's those January consolidation highs. Really, the key numbers to watch here is the 5,000 mark and then that 49.37. That first area of resistance, we're approaching it here and getting close, sitting at 51.21. Now the 10-day average true range dropping down to about $241, and we're seeing gold volatility also decline to about 32.84 after peaking at 48.68 on January 30th. That's when we saw that large washout of about $600. Now a sustained break above that 51.50 level really could lead to a push on up to 54.50, especially if we start to see some of the economic data weaken, specifically the labor data and also inflation, which we'll get both of those readings this week. The expectations for about 65,000 jobs created tomorrow, but we could see a number below that as many analysts are estimating. Looking at March silver, the lows overnight, $80.25 above that key level of $80, and then the highs overnight is $83.74.5. The last of this recording sits right around 81.86. We are seeing some volatility, but the volatility is more consolidating and at the low end of the range, with silver volatility sitting at 94.07 and the 10-day average true range dropping about 10% to $11.63. So looking at the precious metal, the ETF flows here, well, they're buying gold, they're buying palladium, they're selling silver, and they're selling platinum. So you'll get the gold ETF flows, tacking on about 0.2% from the previous trading session, adding about 159,000 troy ounces of gold. You look at year to date, the total gold held by ETFs sitting up 1.1%, and gold's up about 17% this year. You look at silver in the ETF flows, unable to get positive at all this year. They're declining about 0.4% from that previous trading session, and year to date down about 2.4% as the ETFs cut about 3.73 million troy ounces of silver in the previous session. It was the fourth straight day of declines. Platinum is also continuing to decline for the sixth straight day here at declining 13,500 ounces. You look at the gold-silver ratio dropping down to 62-1. And then you go out to some of the broader markets because there's some green on the screen, especially in the equity front here. Stock futures, they are edging just a bit higher here. And we're seeing more U.S. companies here posting these quarterly earnings growth here, suggesting that this broadening of this market here is really going beyond technology. You look at the S&P 500 firms, they're on track to register about a 14.5% increase in fourth quarter earnings, notching a four-year high. Out of the 302 S&P 500 companies that have reported so far, 79% have managed to beat estimates. Only 17% have missed. Now, we did have some economic data come out earlier, and it's one of the ones that I really pay attention to is the NFIB Small Business Optimism for January. Many of the clients have been actively long the Russell 2000 and has a core position here, pairing that with gold and other commodities. We've been in long positions here from most of May until July, and then August again until October, and then in early December, maintaining a lot of these core assets here with gold and other asset classes. That National Federation of Independent Businesses Monthly Small Business Optimism Index did decline just a bit, but nothing significant, to 99.3 in January from 99.5 in December. We are going to have retail sales come out, so we'll want to watch that number here, and expectations are for a strong number. We'll also have Feds Hammack and Logan. They're also scheduled to speak here at events later on today. Now you look at the rate cut expectations. There's a high probability for a June interest rate cut. You go to March, it's about a 17.7% chance, and you go out to June, it's about a 75% chance. You look at the dollar index, and the dollar yesterday and falling 10-year treasury yields were the biggest boost here, in my opinion, to that gold market, and that's where we saw other markets play catch up. So the dollar index, the key levels to watch here is that February 5th high at 97.87. So that's where you get your big lower high on the charts. And futures are sitting at about 96.78. The correlation between gold and the dollar index is inversely correlated about 80%. You look at the euro currency continuing to move higher here up to 119.24, and a Swiss franc getting a real big boost yesterday here, 130.96. WTI crude oil futures for March remain elevated at 64.51. 10-year treasury yields dropping to the low end of the range here at 4.19%. VIX sitting at 1842, nothing there. Bitcoin futures unable to really get any momentum above the 70,000 mark here, sitting at 69,150, and S&P 500 gamma exposure is really neutral. You go over to Europe and Asia. Well, the European stocks, they did post some modest gains here, and the Asian stocks here, they also rose, with the Japanese markets really extending our gains here after that election. The MSCI Asia Pacific Index rose as much as 1.4% and hit a new record high here for the third straight day. So a lot of green on the screen. Gold here recapturing positive momentum here today, turning positive on the screen. Really nothing in the grain markets here, a bit of a mixed picture. The currencies are the ones that I'm watching because they're really leading some of the moves in the precious metals. Silver volatility continuing to consolidate, so we'll want to keep an eye on that. Copper futures hovering right around that $6 mark for that May and also for the March contract, so we keep an eye on that as well. Nothing really on platinum, as platinum futures been declining just a bit recently here, and we'll want to watch that 10-year treasury yield because another break could give that boost to the Russell, to the gold market as well. So be sure to check out. I'll be on CNBC on Power Lunch right around like 1:30 Central Time is when I should pop on there. And again, I'm going to talk about a little bit more of the fundamentals of what's pushing and some of the recent drivers in the precious metals markets, as well as what to look out for, and then have some price predictions going out. So if you guys got any questions, you'll have to open up an account with us. Send an email to info@bluelinefutures.com. And remember, futures and option trading does involve risk of loss. May not be suitable to all investors. Good luck. Good trading.
Futures trading involves a substantial risk of loss and may not be suitable for all investors. Therefore, carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you in light of your financial condition.